Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Warren and President Mangum and members of the board. I just want to be very brief and just say that I'm glad to see that we're off to a good start this morning. I didn't see anything in the paper. I think it was quite quiet. And I look forward to the future of this board and the future, of course, the Mangum administration. And I'm sure that hopefully you'll get some new members. You're down to 10 now, and you'll need another 3, so it's going to be rather interesting. And I want to wish all of you a happy holiday and good New Year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Same to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Elizabeth Davenport.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Like Dr. Tucker, I would like to say that you're off to a fine collegial start, and to also remind you of something, a couple things. First of all, I don't know if you realize this, but this meeting is in conflict with several pinning ceremonies across campus. That's usually the next to the last time faculty members can actually say goodbye to their students within their department. I perfectly understand why you have this meeting at this time and this place, but please recognize the calendar and activities of faculty when you schedule these meetings. The second issue is our graduate assistants. Our current graduate assistants earn less than what I earned at Michigan State University 23 years ago. They had a contract for health insurance. You have allowed that to lapse. They weren't informed that their health insurance had lapsed. They went to doctors and were told that their health insurance lapsed. They're away from home. It's part of their collective bargaining agreement. I urge you to solve this problem quickly. The last time I brought it up in a collective bargaining session that it's important to clear up this problem, I was met with blank stares. Just realize that health insurance is very important, and I urge you to settle this insurance problem quickly. Have a great day. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it. Before we close the door on public comments, is there anyone else who would like to speak? There being none, we'll move on. I can't tell you how much I have been either anticipating or loathing the opportunity to have to make comment, if you will, as chair of this board. Loathe might be too strong a word, just a little apprehensive about it because it's sort of a first day. Many have said to me that my assuming this role at the election of my peers on the Board of Trustees is a new day. Well, I would say to you that it is the same day, if you will. Same day in this regard. We have always been focused on the good and the benefit of this university, of Florida A&M University. And that has not changed one bit. The only change that I would acknowledge is the fact that we now have a new chair, but with the same responsibility for taking the organization from its current level of greatness to a higher level of greatness. I'm a great fan of John Collins and his book, From Good to Great, but I would say that there's nothing good about Florida A&M University, but everything great about it. And the onus that we have is to take it to even greater heights. So the challenge of the board and the president of the university is to continue that march, to take this university forward, and to do that with earnest work ethic, a focus on the details, and more importantly, to focus on what we do for students here as we prepare them for life after Florida A&M. I said on the day of my election to this position that we have much to do, and we always have. The important thing for us to stay focused on are the implementation strategies around what it is we have to do, how we get it done, but how we get it done together. As a board, you know, if you know me at all, you know that I come from a very spiritual base. I am as imperfect as the next guy. So I think without divine intervention in my life that you'd be in for a whole lot of foolishness from me. But I try to tie myself down to where I stand spiritually first, and to Virginia, my grandmother's guidance to me as she helped to raise her third grandchild. So to stay focused fundamentally on doing my best to do right by everybody, the people I work with, the people I associate with, and more particularly in my role here as chair of the Florida A&M Board of Directors. But this is not about Cleve by any stretch of the imagination. This is about the collective work of the Board of Directors for this university and our partnership with the president of the university. It's our intention to work as a team, and the collective work, the collective effort of this group, this collegial body, prayerfully will be the fine product that is produced in our students, their preparation for the workforce, their intellectual capacity. I was at a UNCF event in Jacksonville a week or so ago, receiving an award as a champion of education in our community. But I was reminded more of the slogan of UNCF about a mind being a terrible thing to waste. I would concur with that, but it's my belief that as a university, or even in the K-12 system, and in the college system where I work, it's not enough for us to give to stuff facts and figures in the minds of students. The challenge that we really have is to teach them how to think. So I'm hopeful that even tonight, when 800 or so graduates walk across the stage and accept their degrees from Florida A&M University, that we see 800 people step into the world prepared to be the critical thinkers that we need in this world, and more particularly in our own country. That's the job that we have, is preparing people to think and to think critically. If they can do that, they can be the leaders that we deserve, that the world deserves, to make tough decisions about how to manage our environment, to make tough decisions about how to raise children, to make tough decisions about how we allocate resources, to make tough decisions about how we peacefully coexist with one another in the tough world that we live in. That's my prayer, is that the 800 graduates who walk across the stage tonight will contribute to our society, the world society, in that way. So if we have a mission, is to teach young people how to think and how to think critically. My hope is that as we serve this organization as directors, as members of the Board of Trustees, in partnership with the president of this university, that we won't lose sight of what the prize is. And the prize is not in us. In fact, I hope that we quickly learn how to diminish our own faces and voices and raise the level of community understanding and perspective on the great things that are going on here at Florida A&M University. And that shows itself in the product that we produce, who are the students, 800 of whom tonight will walk across the stage and, to their misfortune, they'll have my name on their diplomas. So I'm praying for them and for us that we move on to greater heights. And I solicit your support as we do that. I generally try to be if there's going to be somebody drunk in the room, I try not for it to be me. To be sober in my thinking and my actions, and I hope I haven't failed you in that regard. And to ensure that what I say to you is also how I live my life. My wife is in the back of the room, to hear me make my commitment to you. And you can be rest assured that on the drive home back to Jacksonville, and when we get home, that she will continue to be my general counsel, if you get my drift. I love her to death, and I appreciate her being here with me, and she is as much a part of what we do here as I have become. So in closing, you'll see that I have on my A&M tie today. Thank you, Dr. Hudson. I had a phone call, well, not a phone call, but a text message from a friend who is an A&M grad who said, you stick around long enough, we're going to make a rattler out of you yet. My response to my friend was, they already have. When I came here almost 3.5 years ago, this coming June, 4 years, I started my process of learning what it meant to be a rattler. It took me from my youthful days sitting on the curb on Ashley Street, watching and anticipating the march, if you will, of the Pershing rifles as they preceded the band coming down the street, and then later the marching 100, and when the two of them had passed, I was done with the parade. So I have been enamored with what goes on at Florida A&M for a long time. I am excited. I was excited 2.5 years ago when I arrived, and I'm just as excited today about my opportunity to serve on the Board of Trustees with the great people that surround me in this role. I admire all of them for their particular skills and what they bring to the table for us to get this job done. I would ask you as we go forward to yourself, think about your own soberness, if you will, as you approach your engagement at this university. We don't need to have a boxing match every time there's an issue to talk about. We can talk about it as rational people and come to some resolve around those issues. Not everything is worth us loading up, if you get my drift, about. But rational people have a way of talking in a rational way to come to rational conclusions, and that's what I hope that we will do from whatever corner you come from in the university. Your issue is one worthy of us talking about, and sometimes you can have those conversations and come to conclusions before, in fact, to prevent them from having to come this far, all the way to the board of directors. There's a person somewhere in the university where your issue can be raised, where your issue can be addressed, where your issue can be resolved without it being something that we have to have for record at a board of trustees meeting. Let us move on, if you will, from the small to the large, and the large being the strategic issues facing us as a university, and together we will make those things happen. Together, as we work together, Florida A&M University will go from being great to greater. Thank you. Dr. Mangum, the president's report.
Thank you very much, and thank you for those great words of wisdom and advice to us. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'm thankful for the opportunity to update you on the outstanding things that are happening at Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University again. Before I begin my remarks, though, as 2015 comes to a close, I want to take the time to thank the members of the board, the staff, the faculty, the students, the alumni, as well as the community supporters for the gracious contributions that you have made to the university over this last year. Whether it was in your time, treasure, or talents, all of you have given to the FAMU community, and your gifts are appreciated. As we reach the midway point of the 2015-16 fiscal year, I'm proud to offer some reflections today on the university's recent achievements and breakthroughs. This month alone is a great representation of the important strides we've made toward becoming a best-in-class land-grant doctoral research university with a global presence. Tonight, approximately 800 students will enter into a new chapter of their lives as they receive their diplomas during the fall commencement ceremony, where FCC Commissioner Mignon Clyburn will serve as the speaker. Just last week, FAMU was recognized among the top 20 best online master's in public health degree programs in the nation. A nice honor. We also became again the MEAC Women's Cross Country Champions, and thanks to Coach Darlene Moore for her contributions and her team. Can we give them a round of applause? Thank you. Last week, the FAMU community partnered with Bethel AME Community Development Corporation, the Tallahassee Housing Authority, Mayor Andrew Gillum and his wife RJ, and various community groups to collect approximately 400 gifts and other items of need for families in the Springfield and Orange Avenue public housing facilities. The event was organized by the Office of Communications and perfectly complemented last month's annual turkey drive, senior leadership homeless shelter donation, and the student body's inaugural 128 project, which together resulted in nearly 900 meals being provided to families in need in the Big Bend area. This month also marked the inaugural first-of-its-kind Discovery On Parade, a partnership between FAMU, FSU, and TCC. The event held on December 1st showcased the research, innovation, and creative works of FAMU's faculty and the university's projects making their way into the commercial market. The Division of Research played an integral role in organizing the event, which highlighted a wide range of research projects occurring in our labs. Such projects include advanced care for chronic skin conditions, new technologies for the imaging systems used to diagnose or examine diseases, new methods for determining an increased likelihood of prostate cancer, and new drug candidates for inhibiting the growth of breast cancer. As we speak, FAMU students, professors, and delegates from the Sustainability Institute are preparing to return from Paris, France, after participating in the United Nations Conference on Climate Change, where international leaders united to develop a new global agreement on climate change. This is just one of the many examples of the success of our passport program and revitalized international education efforts. This past fall, we funded over 400 passports. In fact, we had an overrun on the passport program for students wanting to and interested in getting passports internationally. A newly released study by New York-based financial technology company, Smart Asset, has ranked FAMU among the best value colleges and the top schools where graduates earn the highest starting salaries. The Princeton Review named FAMU among its 2016 Best Colleges region by region list, ranking FAMU as one of the best southeastern colleges and universities in the nation. U.S. News and World Report named FAMU among the best national universities, and Forbes magazine listed the university as one of America's top colleges for 2015, and one of its best in the South colleges as well. College Choice named FAMU among 2015 the list of the best HBCUs, and a recently released report by the National Science Foundation listed FAMU as the #1 HBCU in the nation for total research and development expenditures. The American City Business Journals listed FAMU among the nation's top public universities and colleges, and the Washington Monthly College Guide named FAMU among its list of the top 100 national universities, highlighting the university for its contributions to the public good through social mobility, research, and service. NICE also, in its ranking, aimed at high school students that make the right choice, chose FAMU among its top 2016 best colleges. And finally, NerdWallet, a national personal finance and information service, recently released its Florida's Best Colleges for Your Buck list, ranking FAMU as one of the state's top schools for affordability and student success after graduation. The university has also been recognized by the Building Green Initiative as the #2 greenest public historically black college or university in the nation. This academic year, we have placed a laser-like focus on finding unique ways to meet the needs of the individuals and groups that we serve, including focusing on developing the whole student and career preparation, such as co-hosting an app challenge with Dami Station, where students David Bennett, LaTorrence Butts, Jeremy Kaysen, and Ashley Irving designed a mobile application called Merge, which fuses all of the user's social mobility accounts into one cohesive feed based on preferences. Are they here today? Taking exams? Okay. Also, the students recently received a grant from the university received a grant from the Thurgood Marshall College Fund and the University of Phoenix to train the FAMU DRS faculty to use online resources to improve student learning success. We also continue to enhance our student safety programs. The FAMU Police Department launched an app called Live Safe, which promotes safety by allowing members of the campus community to escort virtually one another home by using video technology to watch out for one another as they travel to their destination. Tanya Tatum of Student Health Services received a $10,000 grant from the Avon Foundation to spread awareness and prevention information on dating violence, sexual violence, and domestic violence. The university also recently signed President Obama's Climate Action Pledge and partnered with FSU to launch a new technology commercialization accelerator program for our faculty inventors. Reflecting on our recent successes in our strategic initiatives, I wanted to utilize the remaining time to review with you several areas in which we've already exceeded our mid-year goals. And I know you've seen this graph. I call it a wheel, but it identifies for you our major goals, and within each of those goals, the objectives that we're working towards this year. There are 42 objectives on the wheel that's divided by the goals. We're making great progress in these efforts to create our 21st century living learning community, and that's the orange that you saw there. At the start of the fall 2015 semester, we successfully launched our living learning communities in the FAMU Village Housing Facility, focusing on business, STEM, allied health, journalism, graphic design, and our honors program. And I'm happy to report that we have hit the 75% completion mark of that annual goal, which included completing the living learning communities for 2016-17, expanding the program to other areas of emphasis, and engaging firms for our public-private partnership. The selection process for the partnership is now underway for the redevelopment of our campus core, including a new student services center. We've also reached the 75% completion mark on this year's goal of developing new collegiate admissions programs and partnerships in regards to our need to develop and implement strategies to increase the number of degrees awarded in the BOG areas of strategic emphasis. This includes science, technology, engineering, and math for undergraduate and graduate degrees. A great example is our ongoing collaboration and conversations with TCC about establishing a special STEM pipeline. Initiatives are also underway to enhance student success and persistence and develop new, innovative, and targeted recruitment strategies. A new dean of the graduate college has also been named. Additionally, we're well on our way to implementing university-wide programs to focus on developing the whole student and meeting the needs of the modern student. In November, we launched our Dining with Dignitaries program, designed to provide FAMU students with an opportunity to gain experience in attending a formal dinner alongside industry professionals before they enter the workplace. This is designed so that they don't flunk lunch and don't flunk dinner during their interview process. Various representatives from the campus community, corporate sector, and nonprofit agencies participated in the event, including Trustee Moore. Thank you, Trustee Moore. 14 dignitaries and 42 students participated in this inaugural event. We also reached the 40 and 50th percent marks for our goals to recruit faculty for program enrichment in high priority and strategic areas. And that's because our business cycle basically is 2, and we completed the first cycle with the hiring in the fall. This is designed to enhance engagement and shared governance with the faculty in order to enhance the university's performance under the Board of Governors performance funding model. The provost and the academic affairs team have been working with faculty members, the faculty senate, and UFF representatives in the development of policies and protocols related to student success. We've also been successful in our efforts to recruit new faculty in the areas of pharmacy, agriculture, and architecture. These achievements also fall in line with our efforts towards the implementation of the revised work plan. We've reached the 50% mark in our annual goal of supporting and maintaining our athletic programs and expanding opportunities that contribute to a positive academic and competitive collegiate experience for student success within the NCAA guidelines. This includes consistent meetings of our Game Day Operations Committee, the involvement of our Provost and Academic Affairs team in helping to execute the NCAA grant, facilitating student athletes' success by expanding student lab tutor hours in the Gaither Study Center, facilitating early course enrollments, and moving the student athlete pre-registration date up by 1 day to provide the access to more class options and to avoid practice conflict. One of our objectives, enable excellence in university processes or goals and procedures. What we're seeing here is a great progress in our efforts to enable the excellence by looking at key procedures and the success of which are focused on educational leadership, organizational management, and internal relations. We've already hit the 100% completion mark for our annual goal to enhance risk management by completing the risk assessments and allowing us to allocate resources to high-risk areas. This included a recent review of all driver's licenses of those who operate university vehicles. I'm also happy to report that we have reached the 80% mark in our annual goal to provide professional development opportunities for employees to facilitate the use of best practices and creativity in program delivery and design. One of the key projects under this goal is our academic affairs-led initiative, the FAMU Leadership Academy, which is open to administrators, faculty, and staff and utilizes in-depth training, interactive dialogues, and visioning exercises to foster personal and professional growth for participants. In regards to our efforts to improve the accuracy of job descriptions and assignments of responsibility for faculty and staff, and to continue internal reorganization for efficiency and effectiveness, I'm happy to report that we've reached the 70th percentile mark toward completing that annual goal. So there's a little more work to do. Proposed updated position descriptions and related job classification descriptions are being rolled out to various divisions for review and comment. 100% of our 221 A&P and USP job specifications have already been updated, and there is a high level of satisfaction from the reviewing departments. In addition, a web application has been developed to organize and house the FAMU classification descriptions with an editing function for any modifications by divisions. In the goal of developing, enhancing, retaining resources to achieve our mission, as many of you know, this semester we celebrated the historic transfer of the Brooksville property from the USDA. This effort was a component of our annual initiative to develop, enhance, and retain resources to assist us in achieving the mission. This project, of course, is 100% complete, including the transfer of the land and the acquisition in August of 2015. Additionally, we're making strides in our efforts to increase transfer articulation agreements with high schools and community colleges. This includes the initiation of an MOU with Gibbs High School in Tampa and SBI, and a recent review completed by the Office of the General Counsel to amend and complete the MOU with Santa Fe Community College in the SFC FAMU program. We've reached the 65% completion mark on this particular goal. We are also making great progress in our goal to develop a comprehensive strategy to identify processes to promote technology transfer, to move patents and innovations to the mainstream for the purpose of increasing revenues and finding solutions to social, medical, and technological problems. We've also reached the 60th percentile completion mark in our achievements, and we've hired a permanent technology transfer director, and we're emphasizing intellectual property disclosures to capture, catalog, and protect our intellectual property. We're also working with the business incubator company, Dami Station, to accelerate the commercialization and licensing of our intellectual property. In addition, the General Counsel's Office has drafted and finalized 2 patent license agreements and is working with the Research Division on the prospective creation of a research direct support organization. Risk management has worked to ensure the appropriate insurance coverage is made available to researchers on sponsored grants, and I'd like to take the time to recognize and congratulate the Division of Research and our faculty on receiving nearly $30 million in research grants in the first quarter of this year. You might know The entire of last year, we received $42 million. So we're ahead of the curve on this one as well. The university has also focused 2015-16 fiscal year on realigning the direct support organizations to more strategically support university operations. And this includes the recent restructuring of the athletics organizational chart to ensure a more 21st century intercollegiate athletics program, meeting and consulting with DSO leadership and staff to assess logical next steps and to determine capacity and needs for operational changes, and completing organizational audits of all DSOs. Our Director of Athletics has met with the Booster Club Board of Directors to share his vision for the department and to define how the Booster Club can assist athletics in a more collaborative, structured fundraising effort with the FAMU Foundation. We've reached the 50% mark, completion mark in this particular effort. To enable excellence in university relations and development, one more goal. We continue to reach new heights in our efforts to enable excellence in university relations and development, and I'm excited to report that we have reached the 100% mark in our annual goal to support fundraising and recruitment efforts through increased use of analytics, software, and behavior-based techniques. This includes the implementation and revamping of programs in university advancement and the implementation and use of AdRoll, behavior-based marketing software, which has resulted in more than 1 million impressions to date. The university continues its rebranding process. We recently completed our first round of the stakeholder survey process and focus group meetings. We are now meeting with our rebranding communication council, and our next step includes meeting with our various boards and national alumni chapters, as well as meeting with local, regional, and national external groups. We are also in the process of developing multimedia and multiple logos and taglines that we will seek input on during the upcoming engagements with internal and external stakeholders groups. We've reached the 85th percentile mark in this particular activity. I wanted you to enjoy some of our rebranding. This is a video that we used at the Classic. So enjoy this. It should be fun just to show you the kind of work that we're capable of doing.
We talked about how we're going to win this football game today now. It's about us making plays. Not just the offense, defense, every phase of it, man. It's about us making plays. What gets us excited? What gets us excited? Guys on the field making plays. That's what keeps the boundary excited. That's keeps the fans excited, gets you excited, is when guys make plays. Make football plays.
Just urgency. Let's go, man. We're gonna win this game. I'm telling you, we're gonna win this game, dog. We're gonna start with physicality, brother. Everybody believe. Believe first, man. Believe. Dog, that's how we're gonna win this game. We're gonna knock everybody out, man. Whoever makes it, somebody gotta make it. I'm ready to make the play. Who ready to make the play? 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 To make the stands crank up, make the team crank up, man. Let's go.
Frames match the song title, flyer than a condor. Little this rhyme
Thank you. That's just one of the videos that we use at that particular event. We have videos that we send around the country and now indeed around the world about Florida A&M University, a university, the national station in India came for a campus interview to broadcast the story of FAMU all over the world, all over the country of India. So we're expecting that we should see quite a few more students interested in Florida A&M University to carry our story about our academic programs. And that's how our reach in the new era is, which is what we're calling it when we go to places like China, India, and Brazil. So this is what a way to recruit, and this is a way to also brand us and to tell our story. So we're thankful for our communications team for their work and their efforts in continuing to tell the FAMU story. Part of what we were also doing in using these videos and giving them to members of the FAMU alumni across the country and indeed across the world is that they can show these videos to people that are interested in FAMU and to their particular groups. Without us having to travel, they can tell the story, and there's nothing that's more important to a potential student than to see a successful alumnus tell the story and also do the pitch themselves without us having to be there to put on a show. So that's important to us, and we get alumni all the time calling and asking for ways that they can help, and so we're sending out videos like this and others to talk about our academic programs and what we do. Enhancing our environment to promote internationalization and diversity and inclusiveness is also part of what we're doing. The New Era video that we have is translated into Spanish, and we're translating it into other languages as we need to. We've included a software, in fact, on our website that translates the university information to French and to Portuguese. And it was also translated to, the New Era video was translated to Mandarin and is being used in China as well to help recruit students. We've reached the 70% completion mark in our goal to expand this relationship and the relationships with Brazil through expansion of the Nascimento program. And our General Counsel's Office has recently approved an MOU in the Student Exchange Addendum between the University in Brazil and FAMU. Lastly, as I close, I want to express my gratitude to the senior leadership team, the staff, and the members of the Board of Trustees again, who've been working tirelessly on sharing information and receiving input from one another as we work to move the university forward together. We have had several recent meetings and interactions with board members that have yielded fruitful results and provided great insight on government relations, the university strategic planning process, community activities, our P3 initiative, student development, and several other key areas of emphasis. And the assistance is greatly appreciated. And I would also be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the exceptional work being done by the Strategic Planning Committee. And I see many of the members here in the audience today, and I'm sure they'll share much more with you. But they have been very busy meeting with the various stakeholder groups, from students and faculty to alumni, retirees, and community members. And we are making real progress on this process and expect to be able to bring the plan, Dr. Robinson, to the board in the spring. He and I have fun talking about that timeline. I'd also like to thank, again, everyone for your attendance and also for showing your great support towards the strategic goals that we have. FAMU is certainly headed, I believe, in the right direction, and as we work in unison, we will move FAMU forward. Mr. Chair, that concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Mangum. Okay. Are there any members of the board who have some questions of Dr. Mangum regarding her report?
Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair.
Yes. I recognize Trustee Moore.
Okay, just a brief comment. Thank you, President Mangum, for the information shared and the wonderful updates and I call it progress and movement that's underway. I just want to remind the fellow board members that in our August meeting, one of the things that we pointed out is that collectively the group would come together and that we would have a composite of all the reports that President Mangum and the team have compiled, and that we would all be able to chime in about what we've seen and share that information with President Mangum. So, Mr. Chair, I think it talked about a 6-month mark, so I'm assuming that would be the next meeting that you would be looking at, I guess, carving out time so that feedback could be shared with the President if it's not already being shared. I know that I will be meeting with Chief of Staff next week to talk about questions that I may have, but just, again, going on record with just a reminder.
Thank you, Trustee Moore. I'm sure you'll have something to say about this in just a minute. But Trustee Austin?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Dr. Mangum, for the update. I think it was a really good update. I will tell you, just listening, having the milestones, as we've talked about, clearly displayed, the milestones with the expectations that we've talked about that showed progress to date. I can tell you that the way this was plainly done, I think is a good thing. I can tell you that previously, I don't think it was displayed this way. So whoever did this, I don't know, on the leadership team, I'm sure under your efforts, this is plain language, easy to read, easy to understand, because I think that was part of the gap that we've talked about before. So kudos to you and your team, because this was very well done, easy to read, easy to understand as we continue to work through the milestones and expectations that we set together. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Austin. Any other members have anything? Trustee Grable?
I too would like to commend Dr. Mangum, particularly on the marketing and branding and the communications office. Talent in that office is very good. I want to at least recognize that with the new addition of Ms. Durham. And I think, again, our students will respond very positively to that. And I think you're meeting the needs and making sure that the Alumni Association members have access to this kind of technological promotion of the university. Your communication staff is to be commended for that.
Thank you, Trustee Grable. Any others? There being none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. I'll point out to you as we move into that, please note that the Student Affairs action yesterday to require mandatory insurance will be added to the consent agenda as item SA2. Any of you have any items in the consent agenda that you'd like to have removed and taken up later as an action item?
Mr. Chair.
Trustee Austin?
Yes, if I could, following your spirit that you introduced to start this meeting, item AA2, I'd like to have a conversation maybe with the President and Provost offline, maybe during the meeting. And I think that the question that I've consistently, I think, raised since I've been on, I just want to have that question with the team, and then I think we can get to where we are at the end of the meeting.
Okay. Trustee Lawson?
Yeah, just it's not printed here, but I know we've had some discussion about having an update from the Strategic Planning Committee, and maybe I'm just looking at a dated agenda, so I apologize. It is on there.
It's on
Right.
the 9.
Okay, great. I think I'm looking at a dated agenda, but I also want to compliment the President on the overview, and I wanted to stress something that Trustee Moore said as well, that we do have a 6-month review coming, and I just want to ask that the President continues in the vein of publishing, whether it be the weekly or the updates, this type of update. I thought the video was outstanding. I thought we had a strong level of support when we were all together in Orlando. So I would just encourage the administration to continue to engage the board in this level of communication as we continue to move forward. So Trustee Warren, that really was my only question. I think, I had a dated agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Chair Warren.
Trustee Moore?
Items DSO 1, 2, and 3, it's just the wording. It's been shared with me by the staff that we needed to reflect approval versus the term acceptance. So again, that falls under direct support organization, since I'll be doing that on behalf of Trustee Shannon this morning, but changing the word from acceptance to approval.
Okay. Thank you, Trustee Moore. With the exclusion of item AA2 and the correction, if you will, on DSO1 and DSO2, changing the words acceptance to approval, as recommended by Trustee Moore. Are there any other items in the consent agenda that need to be addressed? And if not, I'll take a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
It was motioned by somebody.
White.
Trustee White.
Trustee
and
White, yeah.
seconded by
Austin.
Trustee Austin. All in favor of the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll move on then to action items. Why don't we deal with item, well, I take that back. We'll just deal with the items as they appear. And we'll discuss item AA2 first.
Yeah,
Trustee Austin,
can we do AA2 maybe at the close? I'd like to have a conversation with the President and Provost.
that'd be fine.
Okay.
Okay. So the first of those items is,
The governance?
the Governance Committee. And just a second. We have several items that need the board approval. I will recognize Trustee Austin to present the items for the Governance Committee.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. The first recommended action item, the Governance Committee approved the role of the committee. I think you all have the document in front of you that outlines a few specific roles for the committee, A through F on the document in front of you, approving annually the charters for standing board committees, reviewing periodically board operating procedures, initiating board training when appropriate, evaluating the board's performance, periodically reviewing Board of Trustees governance, overseeing university collective bargaining agreements, and recommending board regulations pertaining to the employees of the university, and overseeing public and governmental relations. Mr. Chair, I move approval of the aforementioned role of the Governance Committee and that the operating procedures are amended to reflect such change.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions and or comments from the members? There being none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion stands approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next action item was a recommendation from the Governance Committee to establish the committee as a standing committee. We did provide some backup information to the Governance Committee members, and I believe each of you, looking at the similar structure to other governance committees within the SUS, and also some information provided by AGB as well. So based on that, Mr. Chair, I move approval of the Governance Committee as a standing committee, and that the operating procedures are amended to reflect such change.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any further questions and or comments
One
about the
question
motion?
on the Governance Committee.
Trustee Lawson?
Yes, thank you. In the past, it had been Committee of the Whole, but I saw in the new alignment, it's a committee of a smaller body. Is that the direction that, Mr. Chair, that we want to continue to take with the Governance Committee?
Well, I won't speak for the chair, so I'll kind of point it back to Chair Warren, but this recommendation is really just moving the committee from a special committee only because
To a
it's not
standing.
to standing, because it's something that we'll be dealing with ongoing.
Sure. Oh,
with
I
many of
agree
these
with the
items.
standing committee, but like I said in the past, it had been Committee of the Whole,
Right.
which, has pluses and minuses, but I just didn't know if we were going to continue in that direction or stay with the smaller Governance Committee, Mr. Chair.
All right, it's my preference, if I may exercise some preference here, is to make a smaller size out of that committee rather than it being a committee of the whole.
Okay.
And it's also my effort is not to have you suffer from director fatigue, if you will, with the many committees that you serve on.
Good.
My expectation is that you will exhaust yourselves on the various assignments that we do have. And with the few numbers that we have, we'll find ourselves, as it is, serving on several committees. So I trust in the contemplative work of the Governance Committee in the smaller size that we have, and trust that they'll bring back to us as a collective body their best recommendations for us to then debate if necessary.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Trustee Austin?
Yes. Did I make the motion? Is the motion on the floor?
Second.
Yes.
So second.
Yes.
On the question.
Any further comments? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Trustee Austin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next recommendation was an item presented by Trustee Washington that was approved by the committee. It was the recommendation to require a motion to extend time or make a formal announcement that the time will be extended at the meeting when the meeting was set to adjourn. I think the intent or spirit of this item, and I'll let Trustee Washington maybe just give insight. I think based off of, we know that a meeting starts at a certain time. I think we normally project that a meeting ends at a certain time. If the meeting tends to run longer than the projected end time, then there is a motion that needs to be made and approved by the body. Trustee Washington, please.
You said it perfectly.
Okay. Okay. So that's the recommendation. Mr. Chair, the committee recommends approval of the stated motion and that the operating procedures be amended to reflect such change.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further questions and or comments regarding the motion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, Trustee Austin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The last action item, the committee recommends approval of an amendment to section 3.4 of the operating procedures, which adds that the vice chair will act in the vacancy of the chair. 3.4 vice chair, the duty of the vice chair shall act to serve as chair. We're striking out during, we're adding due to the underlying vacancy, absence, or disability of the chair. I think that this, as we looked at other universities, this question came up. This is just some clarifying language for the board. So based on that, I move approval that the operating procedures be amended to reflect such change.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Are there any questions and or comments regarding the motion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Is that Trustee Shannon?
Yes.
All right. Great, thank you. Trustee Austin, well, there's nothing else listed. Do you have anything further from your committee?
No.
From that work?
No, Mr.
Yes.
Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right. In accordance with Article 9 of President Mangum's employment agreement, the board must confirm her appointments to outside boards. You have in your materials information regarding her appointments to 3 boards. Can I have a motion to approve that participation by Dr. Mangum in those boards?
So moved.
So, second.
It's been motioned and properly seconded. Any further questions and or comments regarding the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. All right, thank you very much. Now we'll roll back to action, to item AA2 from the consent agenda that was taken off, and I'll ask,
I think he's having.
you still having that conversation? All right, well, let's take a pause for a moment. How about that? Give us, we'll take a 5-minute break. All right. Thank you.